It was supposed to be their grand escape, a fairy tale rebirth far from the suffocating clutches of Buckingham Palace, a sun-drenched reinvention painted in the golden hues of California freedom, where Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could finally control their own story, until the walls began to crack, until their most trusted ally became the ghostly keeper of secrets too damning to silence, and until Tyler Perry, the man who once opened his home, heart, and legacy to them, emerged not as the shield, but the sword, quietly sharpening behind the curtain, ready to cut deep through the curated illusion the Sussexes had meticulously built brick by digital brick. Because now, after years of whispers and curated narratives, the one man who knew the truth, the unedited truth, allegedly holds over 17 hours of private footage, recorded conversations, strategy sessions, breakdowns, power plays, raw footage of vulnerability dressed up as authenticity, and as cracks spread across the once-admired Sussex brand, the very image Harry and Meghan built to escape the palace is now being rewritten from within, not by tabloids or monarchists, but by their own chosen family-turned-threat. You see, Perry wasn't just a friend. He was their protector during the darkest days, when palace security was pulled, when headlines shredded Meghan's identity, when institutions refused to shield a Black Duchess from the storm. He gave them sanctuary at his secure Beverly Hills estate, welcomed them behind iron gates when the world had turned its back, and watched quietly as they reassembled their lives, strategizing interviews, planning Netflix deals, and rehearsing every polished word that would later shape documentaries and brand launches. But what no one knew then was that Perry, whether for protection or proof, had the cameras rolling, had the receipts locked in a vault as silent insurance, a vault that now allegedly threatens to explode. At first, their bond was undeniable. Meghan wept openly about his support in interviews. Harry called him a godfather, and the world was told that this was chosen family forged in the fire of trauma. But everything changed when Perry faced his own legal turmoil, when a $260 million lawsuit threw his public image into jeopardy, and suddenly Meghan's team, the same ones who once praised him, allegedly scrubbed all public ties. Archived posts, deleted photos, cut mentions in press appearances, as if the man who saved them had become too radioactive to touch. And that, insiders claim, was the betrayal that cracked the alliance. Because Tyler Perry, blindsided and hurt, didn't just retreat. He reportedly began talking, slowly, strategically, and now the industry is swirling with whispers that Perry has already been approached by multiple media outlets, offering exclusive rights to the uncut material. A threat so potent that Harry, sources say, dropped everything and rushed back to the UK, not for royal duty, but for brand triage, leaving Meghan alone in and as Prince Harry's private jet sliced through the night skies, crossing the Atlantic with none of the pomp nor pre-announced royal protocols that used to dictate his every move. What echoed in the silence of that cabin wasn't just the roar of betrayal. It was the sound of an empire collapsing under the weight of its own secrets, the sound of a man racing not toward duty but toward desperation, fleeing Montecito with clenched fists and unanswered calls, leaving behind a wife now engulfed in a media inferno she once thought she had mastered. And all of it, every fragment of chaos, every leaked whisper, every cancelled deal led back to one quiet man in Atlanta holding 17 hours of cinematic vengeance in the form of high-definition truth. As Meghan Markle stood alone in their sprawling $14 million estate, stone-faced, surrounded by tightened security and a skeleton crew of PR staff still loyal enough to stay, the question that stalked her every breath was no longer when it would all come out, but how much and how badly, because while the world debated her intentions, Tyler Perry knew the truth in a way no outsider ever could. He had been there in the quiet hours, when makeup was off, when tears were real, when strategy met panic, and while the tabloids spat out half-truths and royal insiders whispered of disgrace, Tyler's vault, if opened, threatened to detonate the carefully staged reinvention of the Sussexes like shrapnel through a gold, royal stone and Silicon Valley rot. Prince Harry walks the marbled halls of Windsor not with defiance, but with desperation, his every footstep echoing like the distant beat of a war drum no one around him is willing to acknowledge. Because while he once scorched these walls with accusations of racism, cruelty, and abandonment, now he returns not with power, but with empty hands and a fading narrative, met with cold nods and clipped courtesies, no royal aides running to open doors, no media briefings crafted to polish his image. Just a man standing in the ruins of a bridge he lit with his own flame, and at the center of it all, behind both the silence and the storm, is a vault of footage so damning that the very fabric of his carefully marketed second life in America now dangles like a frayed thread, ready to snap if Tyler Perry so much as exhales. Because Perry, once dismissed as a celebrity footnote in the royal escape story, now sits at the apex of the Sussex brand's slow-motion implosion, holding in his private archive not just hours of Meghan and Harry behind closed doors, but hours of motive, hours of strategy, hours of the very blueprint that lifted them from royal victims to commercial protagonists, and now threatens to undo every dollar, every deal, every quote Meghan once used to position herself as the brave, feminist phoenix rising from the ashes of Windsor. And what makes this moment so dangerous is that Perry hasn't said a word. He doesn't need to. His silence is the script. His absence is the exposé. Because every day that passes without a denial, without a statement of solidarity, without a reaffirmation of loyalty, is a day Meghan Markle's brand hemorrhages public trust, while Tyler Perry's name morphs from savior to spectre, the man whose knowledge alone has billionaire boardrooms, PR firms, and streaming platforms trapped in suspended panic. And while Harry retreats into legal consultations at undisclosed London locations, his once bold posture now bent beneath the weight of a betrayal even he didn't see coming, Meghan is left back in Montecito, a duchess without a crown, without a brand team, and increasingly, without an audience. Because despite all her efforts to reintroduce herself as a lifestyle mogul, a modern-day Martha meets Michelle with tastefully branded tablescapes and wholeness candles, her Archetypes podcast reboot sits stalled, her wellness line struggling with investor jitters, and her inner circle reportedly tightening by the hour as staff defect. Consultants vanish and NDAs pile up in desperation, not strategy. Former allies in Hollywood have gone dark. PR teams that once fought tooth and nail to amplify her voice now quietly pivot to safer clients. Even liberal media outlets once enchanted by her story have begun injecting caution into their coverage, asking not how could they survive, but how long until it all collapses. Because at the heart of the chaos lies a growing realization that Meghan and Harry didn't just share their trauma. They weaponized it, commodified it, monetized it in Netflix episodes, Spotify episodes, headlines, brand deals, and teary-eyed testimonials, all wrapped in the soft glow of intentional vulnerability, until the very footage Tyler Perry may hold threatens to reveal what those closest to them now fear. That it was all a performance, executed not from pain, but from ambition. And insiders claim that what Perry captured isn't just damning, it's calculated. Rehearsed lines, staged moments, strategy sessions dissecting what words would play best with American audiences, what tears to shed for royal racism versus maternal grief, what scenes to cut, what pauses to stretch. If released, even in fragments, it wouldn't just unravel the Sussex story. It would decimate it, expose the scaffolding behind the crownless throne they've tried to build in Hollywood, and shatter the image of authenticity Meghan has fought to wear like a designer label. And now, as legal experts debate whether Perry could be legally barred from releasing the footage, some citing privacy, others saying Perry protected himself with verbal permissions, rumors swirl that a redacted version of the footage is already circulating among media elites, shown not for mass release, but for leverage, as whispers of potential retaliation, lawsuits, and exposés tighten around the Sussex brand like a noose. And while Harry desperately attempts to secure sympathy behind palace walls, no senior royals have publicly acknowledged his presence. Charles continues with scheduled engagements. William remains strategically silent. And courtiers, long trained in the art of royal containment, reportedly view Harry's return as less of a reunion and more of a ticking liability. Because should Perry's footage confirm even one rehearsed tear, even one fabricated anecdote about the royal family, the monarchy won't just be exonerated, it will be reborn. And Harry? He will become the architect of his own exile. Back